Hello, welcome to the EP Knits YouTube channel and the May vlog. I'm going to try and be a better vlogger this month in capturing my knitting and my projects and hopefully have some more diverse projects than I did in April. So if that was a disappointment, I apologize, and hopefully this month will be better. But my name is Emily, I'm in Orlando, Florida, and this is a vlog about knitting, mainly fiber arts, but mainly knitting, and a little bit of book reviews if I read some books this month. So thank you for being here, and let's get to the crafting. I put on my shorts, book flower shop top. Here are my shorts. These are the Jog On shorts by Knititude. They came out last Friday, and today's May 7th, so like, I don't know, whatever last Friday was. They came out in early May, and I tested them. So here I'm actually wearing, check out my last video if you want more info, or the upcoming video when I finish these. I'll have a whole video about the project. But anyway, these are them finished. That's the leg, but here's my gray version. I'm using Heartland yarn by Lion Brand acrylic. I actually think I have the tag here. These are obviously gray. That might be the right. Mount Rainier, I think, is this color, and then Mammoth Cave, I think, is the brown. So these were a test knit. The brown were a test knit, and this is just a second pair that I'm kind of mixing and matching some stitch counts to make it fit my body type more right, like a smaller waist, bigger butt, same thighs as before. No. Smaller everything, same thighs, much smaller waist, one size smaller butt, and same thighs. So I'm just mixing and matching sizes. And I haven't even tried them on yet, but this is just my easy stockinette project. These are some increases just for some math that I was doing. Right now, this is the last bit of yarn that I have. That's all I have, the gray color. And I just separated for the first leg. So we'll see. I weighed it, and I can have 16 grams of gray yarn on each leg, and that will make it even. So there's about, oh, interesting. Huh, why is it going up every time we put this on sale? Okay, that's what I got last time I weighed it, so now I'm confused. This is so weird, isn't it? What is happening? Okay, well, I have to figure that out. Yeah, okay, 20 grams. 20 grams is what I got the last time I weighed this, so interesting. Don't know. Anyway, so I'm just going with it. I think I'm going to bind off in a contrast color, so I'm not going to worry about that, but the, I don't know, maybe the bottom of the legs will have a different contrast color and different, I'm just playing it by ear. I just want each leg to have equal amounts of gray yarn, or gray, and then if the bottom is a little bit of a contrast color, that's totally fine with me. They're mainly just lounging shorts, so as long as they're comfy, I'm cool with it. Update on the shorts. So I ran out of gray, officially. Here we are, and I tried them on. They're much shorter. The waist is shorter, and the legs are shorter than my brown pair. I mean, you can see there's like, what, 1.5 inch inseam, maybe? But I think I'm okay with it. So what I did was I pulled out all of these scraps of like DK and worsted that I have. And I thought, okay, I can make either some stripes or a color block on the bottom to add length. But I've just had it in my head that I want them all gray with the bind off in a variety of colors. Like I want to use those scraps for the bind off. Like, you know, these in this amount for this color and then switch to a new color. But now that I started with this color, this is a Malabrigo worsted yarn. And I just think it's so fun that this could change color on its own. Maybe I just keep going and just have this whole thing in this color. Or do I do my original kind of thought in my head, which was just a bunch of solid colors. So like a little bit of pink, a little bit of green, a little bit of this red, darker green, you know, etc. This teeny bit of yellow, like purple. You know what I'm saying? But then I went and pulled out both these Malabrigo scraps. This is this color, but I could maybe mix in this This is Diana and this is Fortaleza, if you are interested. So I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. They're just going to be lounging shorts, so I don't think I need to spend so much time thinking about it, but I think this way looks really pretty. It's just, am I okay with getting that original idea of like the various solid colors of I-cord bind off out of my head? Like, am I okay moving past that? I mean, because I'm just going to be wearing it, like I said, like chill, probably at night, with random shirts here and there, which is why I wanted like a multitude of colors so I can wear basically any color. They're already gray. They're already so neutral. I want to keep it as, not neutral, but as versatile as possible to go with lots of different colored shirts. Just whatever, you know, I have that I feel like wearing that whenever I'm wearing the shorts. So, I mean, this would definitely allow, both of these would definitely allow me to be versatile because there's so many colors in the yarn. Or, like I said, do I stick with my original plan? So that's what I am contemplating now and spending way too much time thinking about. I do not know what the answer is for me. So I finished the shorts and Moonlight just decided to sit on them. So let's see if we can get her to willfully move, but she's not going to. So pause. Okay, we are back. And my shorts are finished. I steamed the bottom, but you can see they're still rolling a little bit. I went ahead with the Malabrigo bind off for both cuffs, and I made the drawstring out of that as well. And it wasn't as hard to get through as I thought. So making the drawstring last isn't as terribly hard as I expected it to be. Now I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to use this yarn, and I think I'm going to embroider some like lazy daisies or some flowers on here. I've never embroidered on knitwear before. I've only done one embroidery project, but I do have a hoop, and I'm going to just experiment because no harm in that. Alright, update. They're kind of pretty in the light here, but on, they just look like blobs to me because they're so dark, and they look more like stars, and it's just not what I was going for. So I think I'm gonna take these out and just leave the pants alone and ignore that and just call it done with the gray and then these little details here and not have these flower attempts. I'm sitting by the pool. I pulled this shawl back out and I feel like I want to finish it, have less whips. Unfortunately, it's not colorful. I have another blah knit to show you. It's using that Heartland yarn again to try and get rid of it. It is called the Caramel Shawl, and I don't really know what it's for. It's just something I started a couple months ago, and I was feeling a shawl at the time, and it'll probably be a gift knit to someone eventually, but here we are. It's a triangle shawl, and I think I'm getting close to done because it is kind of bulky. I don't want it to be too big. That the triangle shawl part makes me think that maybe it should stay small. So anyway, I wanted to show you what I'm working on because it's something other than shorts, believe it or not. Hey friends! I just recorded a video, a finished object video, for my jog on shorts by Knititude. So that should be coming in probably mid-May maybe. It is mid-May. In mid-June maybe, or early June, sometime in June. I don't know when I'll hit that publish button, just because I'm trying to space my videos out every 2 weeks, and I don't feel like I have that much interesting content for every 2-week vlogs. But I do have something I want to show you, and I figured since I have this tripod set up, let's do it. So I made another double brim hat. This is, if you're new here, this is the very last half of a sleeve of a sweater I made, the color black cardigan, and it was a Lion Brand kit. This is Lion Brand Heartland. Nope, it's not. Lion Brand USA Hometown, something like that. It is 100% acrylic, super bulky, and I made the wrong size. It was way too big for me, way too large. I didn't understand my measurements. It's my first ever, yeah, it was my first ever cardigan I made. And now it is becoming hats and such. So I've already made a bunch of hats, donated them to a friend who is a teacher back in Illinois, but I'm just continuing on. So I want to use up my stash. I want to use what I have here, and this is the last of this sweater. Everything else is either gone into a blanket for my dad or those donated knits. So this is my most recent one. This is a double brim beanie. It is knit on these needles. I started another one. Chowgu 15, US size 15, 10 millimeter needles. This is 44 stitches. This one I'm making now is 42 stitches. I found 42, I think fits, I don't know, they both fit my head comfortably. When I try this one on now, it does seem a little bit big, but I like them because they're just plain simple stockinette, relatively like mindless or whatever you would say. So I can do it without looking, without thinking, and I just take, 2 minutes to cast on and 2 minutes to connect the double brim here and a few minutes to do the decreases, and that's all the really like stuff in the hat I have to pay attention to. The rest is just knitting in the round. I don't even put a stitch marker in, so I don't have to bother with moving the stitch marker. So I wanted to show you that hat, and I'm working on this next one. I don't know, hopefully it'll use up all of this, and I have a little bit of a purple super bulky yarn, and so maybe that will become like the top color block of the hat or something like that, or a stripe in it. Probably won't bother with a stripe. It'll probably just be when I run out of this white yarn, I'll use purple for the rest of it, and then I'll be done with my super bulky acrylic yarn stash. I'm excited to keep paring that down. And I worked on something else yesterday. Last night I took a quiz and I didn't do so great, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna step away, I'm gonna come back later, but for now I'm just gonna knit. So this is what I pulled out. This is the caramel shawl, and you will see this here. This is actually a twisty tie because that's the closest thing I had available at the moment, but I dropped a stitch way down here, and the stitch count is fine now, so I dropped it and gained another one somehow up here, but whatever, it's not a big deal. But I just don't want it to drop more, so I have to take some of the leftover yarn or a piece of yarn and wind it in so I secure that stitch. But for now it is a little twisty tie, but I think it's really beautiful. This is how it looks. I've only made one shawl. It was the Stephen West Shawlography mystery shawl from 2021. So I'm just kind of unsure about the shape. Like, I want these tail parts to be longer. But the way the shawl was going and the way the increases were, it's just the whole thing is getting bigger. So I don't really know what the best way to wear it is, if it's something, I don't know. But I know that, I think I know, that I want, this is my second ball of yarn. I have plenty of this yarn, so I'm not worried about it. I don't know how big I want it. Like, I think the body part, like this, is plenty, but I want the tails to be longer so they can wrap around. So what I started doing was I'm increasing 2 extra increases on each side. So hopefully that will increase these sides at a more rapid pace. And I think that's the right thought. I don't know. I think that's the right thought. But yes, that's where I'm at. This yarn is Lion Brand Heartland again. It's the same yarn from these Jog-On shorts that I made. I'm just trying to use it up as much as I can. And I really love the shawl. I think the pattern is beautiful. Oh, I also did something else. I changed needle size. So, sorry about this shirt. I was using a 5.5 millimeter needle for most of, I'm tangled in yarn. for the first half of this project. Then I said I didn't like the fabric, but I'm not going back, so I will just switch in the middle, cause whatever, to make it a little bit looser fabric. So now I'm knitting with a 6mm. I think I like the fabric a lot more with this. I don't know who it'll be or what it's for. Like, I don't really have much use for a shawl here, but for some reason I really had an inkling to cast on a shawl. I was going to cast on a different shawl, but then Ravelry showed how to search for designers by country right at the start and end of February when Russia invaded Ukraine, and I decided I wanted to support a Ukrainian designer, so I found this pattern, loved it, bought it, and I will say I was looking at the designer's Instagram yesterday, and I'm not on Instagram very often. Like, I'm rarely on Instagram, so maybe she does post in her stories, but she did not have any stories up when I looked yesterday, so I hope her and her family are safe. I don't know where she resides now, or anyway, I don't know her story, unfortunately, but I hope her and her family is safe, and I hope that we're all, anyway, so that's the story on this shawl. I'm just going to keep working on it. It's definitely not a mindless knit, but I think it is very beautiful, and it'll probably be a Christmas gift or something for someone when it is done eventually. So I do want to cast on more projects. I want to spin some more yarn, but I right now at least, I'm feeling comfort with working on this and finishing this and getting it off the needles. I don't usually like to have a lot of whips, but sometimes I do. So anyway, that is, I don't know how to wear this, but that's my story. So alright, now I'm leaving you, and that's all I had to share. Okay, hello. I have to admit, I'm vain. I just recorded this, but it was at a terrible angle. It was like way down here, so I'm re-recording because I want a more flattering angle. But I feel like I should be honest about that, so there you are. But anyway, I am sitting here kind of procrastinating on homework, but also watching the YoungFolk Knits podcast. I went back and started from the beginning, and I recommend her podcast so far for sure. So I got the recommendation from the Balanced Skein podcast. So check out both those. They're really great. But I wanted to show you first, I finished this double brim beanie. I now have 0 yarn left from the sweater I took apart, and I just had this little bit of purple left, so I combined them. It is a very long slouchy beanie, but neither were enough to make their own hat, so that's okay. And then I was going through this bag of acrylic scraps that I have left, and that was in it. So I've got 3 balls of this brown worsted. This is a sweater I made Moonlight, our cat, but she hates it. The armhole, doesn't really fit her. The armholes are way too big, or leg holes, whatever, are way too big. She just wiggles out of it. She doesn't like wearing anything. I never even woven in the ends, but I want to keep it, like, because it's cute and I made it for her, but it's just going to sit forever, so probably take it apart. This is a random pom I apparently made at some point, so this is the last plain white double brim I made, so I think I might just add it on top, just so it has a little something. These are like a foot long or more of random scraps. These are literally just teeny bits of ends, and these are like 6-inch ends. So I just made their own piles for everything. I have I guess it's technically a yarn bowl or a basket of random little ends that I'm keeping together, because you can send these in to certain places that do recycled yarn, and they'll add them into their yarn. So that's my plan for these, so they don't go to waste. And probably those too, but those sit in their separate pile in case I ever need like a lifeline that's this short for some reason, or whatever, put something on scrap yarn. So that's what those are. So I'm thinking, because I just don't have the brain capacity at this point to figure out what I'm going to make next in terms of a simple stockinette project. I've got plenty of projects that are textured in my queue and both in progress, but those are, not for me right now. I'm looking for a simple stockinette to do while I am doing schoolwork or reading. So I think I'm gonna hold these 3 triple to make a super bulky hat, and then I can just supplement in or add in a few of these colors for random stripes. And same thing with her sweater. I can take it apart and do some color block or some stripes or whatever in a hat and keep it simple that way. This will be a couple weeks of knitting, and then I can go from there. I do eventually want to make garments. Like, I'm going to make garments before. I don't mean eventually start making garments, but I mean make plain stockinette garments. But then, of course, there is shaping. There is increasing, decreasing, and there's increasing, decreasing, you know, the yoke to get through. So I'm going to have to take some time to like get through the top of the sweater and the yoke, and then I can just knit in stockinette. But I just don't have the time right now to do that top yoke part, or I don't feel like I do at least. So yeah, so we're just gonna keep making hats for now. But that's where I'm at, and that's my update. Here's a progress update on my shawl. So it's pretty large. You can see I made an error here. For somehow I made stockinette for like a little bit. I don't know what happened there. But it is pretty large. And I think it's getting to a point I like. This is 2 full skeins of yarn here. And this is worsted weight. So yeah, I don't know how much more I'll do. I'm pretty happy with this size, I think, as of now. I don't know if I'll just feel like doing another repeat or what I'll end up doing, but now I feel more satisfied with the size at least. Alright, so update on my spin. I spun this one way thinner, so there's a lot more left on this ball, or on this cone, whatever you want to call it, than the other one. The other one I ran out of. So I went ahead, and it was really, really, really full on this thing, on the spindle, and I should have showed you, but I didn't. So I went ahead and took it off, and now I'm going to wash it. I just wrapped it around my arm, like, anyway, around my arm. Don't know if that demonstration helped. And we'll see how it looks. But right now I think it's really cool and fun. So it's a fractal spin. My attempt at a fractal spin. And then I'm just going to apply each end of this ball together, I think. I'll have to think through that harder, but I'm not doing that tonight. Tonight I'm just going to wash this and go to bed. Okay, so I wanted to show you a few things before I get too far and forget to show you. So here's the yarn that I spun after I soaked it. So it's pretty much dry. There's still little wet pieces, so I'm going to leave it hanging again for a second night, but I wanted to show it to you. It is lots of blues and purples, but I really like the yellow and purples together. Yeah, so just some really fun colors. I like the, this is something different. I like the fractal spin effect with a lot of color variation in there. So it is just hanging like this. Excuse the mess in the background. We're at my desk today. Okay, then, also excuse the desk. I was doing homework and this at the same time. So I showed you a little bit that was left over. So I tried to spin it from both ends, and it just created a massive mess. So I went ahead and there's about 20 grams of yarn left when I weighed it. So I put approximately 10 grams on each of these new ball or toilet paper rolls, and I'm spinning it this way, so it's becoming much less of a mess. So it's easier to spin. This isn't necessarily so much a fractal spin, I don't think. I'm just spinning half of it together, so I don't know what that would be considered, but I think it's still pretty. And I've got this much to go, but again, I'm calling it a night. I just wanted to kind of show you and give you my thought process before I get too far and the whole process is over. So that's where we are for now. Okay, so I finished my spinning and I wanted to show you. So this was the original skein that you already saw. And then this is what that little bit left that I just plied together. And then here's a little bit more because it just broke off, so I made it its own teeny little thing. That was fun. I really like that pink and yellow together is fun. It's gonna focus. But I think one of my favorites is like this bit. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a really lavender with a yellow. I think it's really pretty. So, but the whole thing is pretty. And there is a lot of blues and purples. I like the pinks and yellows. I like it all. I think it's all really, really pretty. So, what I want to sit here and do is Very Pink Knits has a tutorial on measuring WPI, wraps per inch. So I have my pen here. Just took out the end. I have a feeling this one is going to be thinner because I did a better job of wrapping it thin, I think, towards the end. So what you do is you can measure out an inch, but I'm just going to go for it here and then, I don't know, just to kind of find out what yarn weight this is. So I'm just loosely wrapping it. And of course, it's thick and thin. It's not perfect. I just kind of want an idea. And you can go on Ravelry. She has a link to like wraps per inch guide. So I'm just going to write it down and then go on Ravelry and look, and I'll put it in text here. So I'm going to keep just wrapping a little more, and then I'm going to measure 1 inch, if this is making sense. And I don't even know if you care to look at this, but alright, so we've got my pen wrapped, and now I'm going to measure wraps per inch. So I've got about 1 inch at this point. I already lost it. Let's see if I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I would say it's about 13 wraps per inch. I want to say that's probably like a fingering weight. I think that's pretty thin, but we'll see. I'm just going to write it down and then I'll look it up. 13 wraps per inch. And then, all right. My one thing I did do poorly, or not one thing, but one thing I wish I will do different. I wrapped to wrap this. I think I told you already, but I just wrapped it like this, basically, on my arm. And it's a really thin, or it's really small. I should wrap it around my knees, and that way I can get a larger skein, and then it'll twist easier. Because right now, if I twist it into skein form, it's going to be super tiny. Like this baby skein. Because I mean, it's not, I don't know how to do it properly, but yeah, I need to make a bigger, like this one I don't even think I can twist into a skein, but it's so small, if that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, let's take this one. Again, just picked an end out, gonna wrap it relatively loosely. This one is a lot thicker and thin, and this bit down at this end is very thick. This is gonna be like a bulky, I bet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would say this is 7. I think that is bulky. So let's just measure. Just gonna measure another end of the yarn just for fun, because like, yeah, the part I just measured was pretty bulky, and then there's also little bits like that really thin. So let's just take like what I would gonna guess is a medium piece, like this one, like this one. I don't know. Let's just grab this one, I guess. This is just to kind of know. Probably, I'm thinking like, I don't know what pattern I'm going to use this for, but I've been looking at just knit collage patterns because, you know, all of theirs is hand spun. I mean, it's professionally hand spun, but, or most of their yarn is hand spun. So I've been kind of using those patterns for inspiration and seeing if I really love a lot of their patterns, so maybe using some of those. The Garden Party Sweater by Knit Collage is what I've had in my head for a while, because I actually have that pattern that I got for free as part of a knit along. Let me pause and measure this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, so see how it's just so thick and thin. The wraps per inch is going to vary throughout the whole skein. I just kind of wanted to know a few spots. Alright, so I'm going to look that up, and I guess just the end of my little monologue is that I don't know what pattern I'm going to use these for, especially this one, because like this is not a bulky weight. My first ever hand spun was definitely like super bulky and worsted. So that would go more with a knit collage sweater. This is a little thinner, which I'm really happy with it. I love the way it looks, but it did take forever to spin. I think I started this in February, early February, and today is, May 9th. So it took a really long time. Granted, I didn't do it often, or this teeny baby skein. I didn't do it as often as I definitely could have, but the bulky spinning goes a lot faster. But at the same time, here I have a lot more use for thinner stuff like this, and this I think would fit in, because my original idea for hand spun was for it to go in what am I trying to say? For it to go in, like, instead of spin cycle in certain patterns, to use my own hand spun. But on a drop spindle, it just takes forever. So then when I was doing this, I was like, yeah, I may abandon that idea. But I don't know, it just looks so pretty. Oh, I want to weigh this. We can do that while we're together. Because my scale is right here. Granted, you saw my scale the other day and how crazy it was going. But we're just going to see. So let's see. It should be about 100 grams, I think. So the two small skeins are 26. So then let's add this one in. 78 is what it says. Okay. So altogether, if I put them all on the scale, it says 102. So I don't know, that doesn't really add up, but whatever. Okay, 102 grams. So yeah, I think it was about 100 grams of fiber that I originally got, so that all makes sense. And basically just gonna sit and be pretty for a little while I ruminate on what I can do with it and find the perfect pattern, because I definitely, well, I don't want it to just sit because, I made it to be used. I do want it to be in a really nice pattern that I will love, because I love this yarn so much. I'm really proud of it, that I did take the time to finish and do it, and I'm really happy and pleased with it. So for now, I'm just gonna let it sit in its beauty. Yeah, like that. Yellow and pinks are my favorite. Sit in its beauty, and I will find a pattern hopefully in the next few months and get to knitting it. But I think that's all my reflections on this yarn. All right. Hello friends, so I'm still wearing this, but new video to talk about books. So I have finished, I think, 2 books since we last saw each other. Yeah, the Janet Ivanovich, Stephanie Plum series book, I finished. It's fun, it's quirky, it's cute, it's very repetitive. I don't think I finished in the last video, but I guess I can double check. But I recommend it if you're just looking for an escape. It's about a bounty hunter who always gets into these crazy scenarios, and when I mean crazy, I don't mean dangerous. I mean, I do, but it's said in like a quirky, fun comedy way, rather than like a serious, dramatic way, if that makes sense. So definitely if you're looking for more lighthearted, Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich probably fits that bill. Yeah, so let's move on. So then I read The Red, White, and Blue by Casey McQuiston. I'll put the name on screen. It was good. So I think I gave it like 3.5 stars or something, because it wasn't as a lot of people on YouTube were saying, oh, it's 5 stars, it's amazing. And while it was really good, I definitely appreciate the diversity of characters, both in sexuality and in race and gender. Maybe that's giving away too much. Okay, I'm taking that out. It's more, okay, what can I say without saying too much? It's a fun book. It's a good book. But I feel like it glosses over some of the issues in too easy or lighthearted of a way that's not exactly realistic. Okay, let's leave it at that. But I definitely appreciate the representation, and it does have a lot of liberal political viewpoints. Yeah. So anyway, it was good. The main character's mom is the president, and again, I'll move on. But 3.5 stars. I didn't think it was as fantastic as everyone is recommending, or 5 stars as everyone is saying, but the diversity and inclusion is amazing. I really enjoyed reading that kind of book, and I think it was my first book, maybe, reading homosexual main characters. It might have been, or bisexual main characters. It might have been. So that shows you that I need to increase and diversify my book choices. No, it wasn't. It wasn't my first LGBTQ main character book. Anyway, the point is, if I have to think about it that hard, then I need to increase my diversity in my reading choices. And now I am reading The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I did not want to get out of bed this morning because I was so intoxicated by this book. It is back to historical fiction, which is like my genre, my go-to. So I think this is going to be a 4-star book. I've heard amazing things about it. My grandma actually read it beginning of last year. She said she really liked it and that it was applicable to the times. It's during the Great Depression. It's set during the Great Depression, first in Texas and then in California. And I like the writing. I'm attached to the main characters. I want to see how their story continues. I am attached, and I just want to see how their story goes. And I could keep reading and reading, I feel like. So I think I'm in the last 100 pages now, but I really like it, and I will read another Kristen Hanna book for sure. Because yeah, I'm back in my love for historical fiction, and I feel like I'm learning a lot, and again, really enjoying the reading process of the book. So there's my book rundown for now, as of May 23rd, I think today is. I finished The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and it was so good. I think I rated it a 4 out of 5, but honestly, I could have given it like a 4.5 or something. I was really pleased with it. And like the second half, I didn't want to put down. I just wanted to pick it up and read. So I think, yeah, I highly recommend it. I learned a lot. It is about the Great Depression and a family who, goes from living in relative comfort, I guess you could say, to poverty, to homelessness, and finding their way and trying to just find what's best for them and their children during the Great Depression. So I learned a lot. It's very emotional, but ultimately I definitely enjoyed it, and I will be reading more Kristen Hanna books. I am excited to read more from her. And now I am reading the 7 Days in June, and I'll have to insert the author's name, but it is so good. So good. It's more of a romance, I think it's going to be. I think. I'm only a quarter of the way through probably, but that's another one, like, I don't want to put down. Like, it's just good. It hooked me from the first page with a little, like, funny thing, and now I just want to read more and get to know the characters, and so I'm excited to read this, and I recommend 7 Days in June as well.